Greetings, Groaners! Welcome along to another episode of the Groan Zone. Welcome along to episode 721, the Groan Zone Mother's Day Special. We know that our friends across the pond in America celebrate Mother's Day later in the year, and Mother's Day is on different days around the world. No. Stop. Welcome was actually episode 127. The April Fool's and Mother's Day special. I know this is early, but got you. If you turned the episode off, if I didn't catch you, I may do next year. If you were listening live, well, the episode wasn't recorded live, so this part of the show is useless. And it wasn't for you, as no one's listening live. What am I talking about? Let's move on. What do we have for you this week? We are jam-packed. In honor of April Fool's Day, a few things have changed. The changes. BS or yes. In this game, you must pick the BS to score points. The 5-point count up. Starting at 1 point, we go to 5 points. So instead of the 5-point count down, we're going upwards. Give me the answer. It's just give me the question, turn it into a mini quiz, where in effect you can't give me the answers. The regulars. All the sections are here, well, most of them anyway, as well as talking nonsense. There was no sense in switching talking nonsense, because all I'll be doing will be speaking English to you and then playing gibberish later. Be pointless. Everything will fall in line going down into the show as down the spiral of the Groan Zone we go with my groans. We have a lot to get through here. People who cannot take a joke or take it too far. Right then, I know we're all living in the woke era where people get super ultra offended. So much if you even eat a biscuit in their vicinity. This also means that some people really cannot take or understand a joke and either spoil the humour or complain about it. Just relax and realise to laugh is joyful, being miserable is pointless. At the other end of the scale, we have people who do not know when to stop, especially when the joke is actually not funny and they get to the point where they have either really upset someone or worse. Know your boundaries. Dads who expect to tag along on Mother's Day. Unless you are a dual role parent, I'm sorry, but Mother's Day is just for the mothers. Dads, that's why you've got Father's Day. Leave Mother's Day alone. No, you can't expect your kid to pay for both parents when the day is just for one parent. It's just a prank, bro. So we've all seen them. Maybe you've experienced them, not to mention I hate the word bro, on YouTube. These wet lettuce annoying pranksters, I could name some, but knowing them, they'd probably find out and sue me. Who go about annoying people with unfunny pranks. Example, one prankster following a bigger gentleman and blowing a trumpet or a tuba behind him with each footstep. The guy didn't find it funny and eventually snapped, and the prankster was quick to go on the defensive with the famous line of, "It's just a prank, bro." That line is not a get out of jail free card, and most likely you'll get decked, if not immediately, then eventually. Remember, before you copy or idolize these glass-brained chowderheads, think this. Would I like this prank if it was me on the end of it? But then, if you still go through with it, don't cry when a fist meets your face or worse. Last part in this note, if you idolize these fools, change your thought process and pick better role models, please. Price increases on Mother's Day. We've been here before. This really boils my pee here on a high peep. You are serving the same meal, but because it's a special day, you rank up prices and everything else. Day over, it goes back to normal cost. Tell me, what is different? Do you get waiters blowing trumpets to the tune of "Mama" from the Spice Girls as the chef carves "I love you, ma'am" into the steak? No, you get a standard meal and then you get ripped off. Clowns. I'm sorry, I know they're a staple of circuses around the world, but I just don't find them funny. It's like the classic old joke, "My dog has no nose, but how does he smell? Terrible." Once you've heard it, or in the case of clowns seen it, you just lose interest in what they're doing because it is just silly and pointless. It may make kids under the age of 7 laugh, but they really don't know any better. It's made worse in some cases as clowns scare the bejesus out of some people, and in the clown guise has also been used to hide some hideous people in history, past and best not spoken of. If we possibly had acrobatic, constantly changing jokes and outfits, etc., clowns just might be made fresh again, at least in my opinion. What is your view on clowns? Comment or email into us on the groanspod@gmail.com. Sorry groaners, had a lot to groan about there in this special. Let's get straight on with talking nonsense. There are slight themes here, listen carefully. Round 1, a classic practical joke. Your nonsense is pause here, have a little think groaners, answer, then unpause. Round 2, sadly, not everyone has one, and some of us lose one. Your nonsense is pause here, have a little think groaners, answer, then unpause. Round 3, some of us also called Mother's Day this. Your nonsense is pause here, have a little think groaners, answer, then unpause. The answers to talking nonsense will come later groaners. Admin Nicole, yet again, has been hard at work finding Mother's Day facts and April Fool's facts. These are going to come in 2 bursts. The first burst we're going to do is Mother's Day. Thailand first introduced Mother's Day, or Wan May, on April the 15th, 1950. Her Majesty Queen Sirikit became known as Mother to her people. The Queen Mother's love for the people is therefore likened to the bond between a mother and her children. And the date of National Mother's Day was changed in 1976 from April the 15th to August the 12th to fall on her birthday. During this day, white jasmine flowers, or Dok Malai, are a common sight in Thailand, as they symbolise the purity of a mother's unconditional love. Garlands of white jasmine are offered from child to mother, grandmother, and other maternal figures on this day. In Mexico, the day falls on the 10th of May, no matter what day of the week it is, and involves music, flowers, food, massive celebrations, and a morning serenade of the song Las Mananitas from mariachi singers. The government in France began awarding medals to mothers of large families in the 1920s and later declared the last Sunday of May as Mother's Day. In the USA, Mother's Day is celebrated on the second Sunday of May, a tradition well established by Anna Jarvis in 1908, and it was made a national holiday in 1914 by President Woodrow Wilson, recognising mothers and their contributions. More facts to come later in fact bit number 2 about April Fool's Day. Let's pose the age-old question now with why oh why. Some sections aren't going to be about Mother's Day, and they're not going to be about April Fool's Day. It's not really possible to get it all crammed into the same thing, because of course groaners are going to email in about random things and everything else. But we will do our best. But why oh why for me is not going to be about either. We cannot always agree on things in this day and age. Hell, even myself and Admin Nicole sometimes gently butt heads when discussing what to put in the episode. But this is nothing compared to what I'm going to raise here. Voting. I think I just heard a whole world sigh then. Don't worry, we aren't getting political now. Regardless of what country you're in, do not let the way you vote rip your family or break up your friend circle apart. Even if you strongly agree or disagree, there is nothing more important than family and friends, usually. No one has your back like family or your best or closest friends. It may lead to arguments or fallouts, but these eventually blow over in time. Accept that people think differently to you and vice versa. You have your reasons and they have theirs. Voting ripping families and friendships apart? We are better than this in 2025. I just have to ask, why oh why? Admin Nicole now comes along with episode 721, aka episode 127, with Creepy Corner. The story for this episode is called The Hidden Love. Valencia sat outside on the docks, looking up at the full moon as the moths fluttered around her, no doubt drawn to her by the subtle glow of the constellations that covered her body. A lot had happened over the last few hours, and she couldn't help but wonder if she was ready for it all. Without sensing its presence, the darkness came and sat by her. She was briefly taken aback by it, but her eyes never left the moon's gaze. She asked the darkness if she was doing the right thing. All of her life, she had never known true love until the old man and Viola came along. But can the love of a found family really be enough to know what love is? The darkness told her that many forms of love exist, but in the same way many things can be disguised as love. The parents she was born to, for example, that wasn't love, and Valencia had learned that from a very young age. They used her for their own gains. Their love nothing more than an act whenever they were in public. The same would be said of Valencia's smile. Be what they wanted her to be. Enjoy the love she could get even if she knew none of it was ever real. Every night she would cry herself to sleep and wish on the stars to know just once what real love felt like. She found it in the old man and Viola. She has an older sister and a father now. She wished so many times since meeting them that she had broken her teeth sooner. If only she knew a better life was waiting for her, she wouldn't have let herself suffer for so long. That's when the darkness revealed yet another secret it had been hiding. Even while trapped in that hole in the bottom of the antique shop, it heard and saw everything that happened in the town. Over time, it became drawn to Valencia. It heard her cries and her wishes every night. Even trapped in that form, it was still the darkness who protected the night. Any wish to the stars would go straight to the darkness after all, so it heard all of her wishes, all of her tears. So many years, to the point that it wanted to be able to do something to save her. When she became a tooth fairy and began spending time with the darkness, she didn't know just how attached the darkness had become to her. Someone outside the old man that saw its truest form and wasn't afraid, instead choosing to get close to it and talk to it often. The darkness felt a sense of happiness and pride as it heard her sorrow-filled wishes change to ones of joy, hoping things weren't a dream, that she could truly stay with them, and if she could, that she would be willing to do whatever it took to save them. All in thanks to the stars granting her one wish. Valencia didn't realise that all these years, the one she had to thank was actually the darkness. To think when she gained a real father figure, she actually gained two without realising it. Under the light of the full moon reflecting on the water's edge, the darkness stood up and walked across the edge, its form slowly changing to something more humanoid. The shape of a man dressed in silver and black. Clothes that looked straight from a fantasy with silver eyes and hair. The darkness looked at Valencia and held out a hand for her to join her, her wings dipping into the water as her feet glided over the water's edge to join the darkness. I figured out a while ago how to give myself a proper form to blend in better. My name, which I've never told anyone except Death, is Vega. Ironic, I know, given that I was literally plucked from the skies above to be dumped into a hole of all things. I'm not fond of this form though, but for you, I can make an exception. There's something fun about bringing terror in the eyes of humans as they look at you after all. Great for being left alone to read. That's why I like my hollow form the best, but both of these forms are me. I know you're scared though, it's a big change, a new beginning, but you'll be alright, and I know love is new to you, and still ever so confusing, but deep down, you know you're happy with him, aren't you? I've seen how you both are around each other. Besides, if he's not good enough, I can deal with that in my own way, so you don't need to worry, Vega said. Valencia smiled, thinking maybe things would be alright after all. She didn't know or understand love very well, but she knew she cared about Damien, and she wanted to understand him more. Plus, this was needed for them to win the war, even if she didn't understand how yet. That's when Vega guided Valencia back to the dock before darkening the entire lake with a single touch. A perfect reflection of the night sky above, and as it plunged its hand deep into the lake, it pulled out a wedding dress made of the very stars themselves, all tied together by a silver ribbon to resemble the moon. It seemed as the time went on, and the two chose their own paths, their roads over the night became clearer. Valencia's ability to create constellations as well as them covering her body showed she was now the protector of the stars. Only the best would do after all. Being the darkness didn't just mean being the darkness, it also meant being the very guardian of the stars. That's why Valencia was able to create a brand new constellation all on her own. Vega's silver appearance and control over water showed his role over the moon. The stars and moon reigning together as eternity, father and daughter. Vega couldn't be more proud of what she had done. He also gave her a flower, a rose of sorts, but it was all black, covered in white spots. This should be one of the last things you need for that project you've been secretly working on. Make a tea from the petals and the other ingredients you found. That should do the job if you give it to her. You might want to ask Death for a bone or two though. You should be able to help with that. Bones are more his territory than mine after all, he explained. Nicole, well written once more. I think you've kind of interwoven a parent's love there, because Tiny of the Darkness is saying it's the father figure, well in this case father, mother or being figure, to Valencia. That was a beautiful story, Admin Nicole. Thank you very, very much. I think it's time for another Groaners. Let's play the 5-point count up. All clues are related and the points don't add up. So if you're wrong on clue number 1 for 1 point, you need to get it right further up to get a further point. Okay? If you get it wrong all the way, then you're going to get no points. Simple as that. Clue 1 for 1 point. In Scotland, it is known as Gowkie Day. Pause here. Have a little think, Groaners. Answer, then unpause. Clue 2 for 2 points. In French, it involves a Poisson d'Avril. Pause here, Groaners. Have a little think. Answer, then unpause. Clue 3 for 3 points. Some say it was defined in 1564. Pause here, Groaners. Have a little think. Answer, then unpause. Clue 4 for 4 points. You may get in trouble, but doing this, you can go solo or as part of a team. Pause here, Groaners. Have a little think. Answer, then unpause. Clue 5 for 5 points. It involves another name for an idiot. Pause here, Groaners. Have a little think. Answer, then unpause. And with that, the answer to the 5-point count up will come later. I think it's time one of you out there got your groan written out, Groaners. So I should say read out, not written out. This one has came in via email from Davis of Wyoming in America. And he says, I hate it when people go to the movie theatres and leave their trash there at the end of the film, or people who don't put shopping carts back in the corral. By corral, people in the UK, that means where the shopping trolleys live. That's a rough translation for we that live in the UK. Thank you, Davis. Very good and short to the point groan. If you want to send a groan like Davis did, if you want to nominate a hero or zero of the week, if you want to blast off with a why or why or a what the, got any suggestions for the show or anything else of that nature, you can drop us an email in to thegroanzonepod@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook groups under the Groan Zone Podcast. You can comment on YouTube if you're listening via YouTube. Hi, YouTube Groaners. You can comment on Podbean in the comments section. You can join us live on Discord, where we usually record the podcast at 8:30 Greenwich Mean Time, PM that is. Of course, you can also leave in your groans or whatever there in the random sections on there. And lastly, you can find my good self on the Facebook Messenger under Mr. E. Groaner. You can also, of course, find our lovely admin Nicole, under Nicole Amos. And those are the ways you can get in touch with us at Groan Zone Headquarters, Groaners. We now move on to possibly what is probably going to be the briefest section I've ever done in the podcast. It's time for Oh Unlucky. And this one goes out to anybody who has fallen for some of the stupidest, dumbest pranks that you knew were a prank, but you fell for it right from the get-go. Hook, line and sinker. I've been there. I guarantee we've all been there. We are the Oh Unlucky people. Now then, Groaners, Admin Nicole returns again with Fact Burst number 2. And this one's all about April Fool's Day. The Feast of Fools was originally celebrated in the spring, the season that was said to fool people with its sudden changes of weather. Wow. and was linked with the coming of the new year on 1st of April, when the Gregorian calendar was introduced, which moved the new year to 1st of January. Those who failed to adapt and still celebrated New Year on 1st of April instead of 1st of January were dubbed April Fools. There are similarities to the Roman festival of Saturnalia, when a brief social revolution was celebrated and slaves were allowed to take on their masters' roles. Another possible link is with the Roman festival of Hilaria, from which we get the word hilarity, that took place on 25th of March. There was also a feast of asses, admin Nicole, we need to have words, when these working animals rested for the day. The United Kingdom's Royal Air Force was formed on April the 1st, 1918. No, we're not calling anyone that was in the RAF fools, by the way, just to state that right now. The United States Air Force Academy was created by an act of Congress and was later built in Colorado Springs, in Colorado, on April the 1st, 1954. Again, we're not saying that anyone in the Air Force in the USA is a fool. And lastly, English physician William Harvey, who discovered the true nature of the circulation of the blood, was born in Folkestone, Kent on April the 1st, 1578, and he definitely wasn't a fool either. Whew! That's the facts done for this episode. Let's move on, Groaners, to something else. I think it's time we had another game, Groaners, don't you? Let's have it with BS or yes. As explained, it's yes or BS with a bit of a difference. You need to avoid the true statements, aka the yeses. You only get points if you guess the BS. Okay, Groaners? Round 1. A. Mother's Day can be traced back to ancient Greece and Rome. B. Mothering Sunday has its roots in the UK that can be traced back to the 17th century. Or C. Around 200 million phone calls are made to mothers on Mother's Day. Pause here, Groaners. Have a little think. Answer and unpause for round 1, all about the mamas. Round 2, Groaners. Here we go. Fool me once, BS on you. A. In 1998, Burger King came up with a left-handed Whopper sandwich. B. The first British printed hoax was the misinformation of a donkey invasion in 1846 in the Islington Post. Or C. The first televised hoax was the BBC when they showed the spaghetti harvest in 1957. Go, Groaners. Pause here, have a little think, answer, unpause. Round 3, the final round, Groaners, is called Let's Go for a Random. A. Pork scratchings became popular in the 1930s. B. Whale oil was added to some navy rums in the 1900s to give it a richer, saltier taste. Or C. The first recorded vehicle accident was recorded in 1895. Pause here, have a little think, answer, then unpause, Groaners. And with that, we move further on into the show. The answers will come later though, don't worry. And now, Groaners, a bit earlier than what you normally would do in the show, but it's time to nominate our hero and zero of the week. Or possibly for all time, depending how you look at it. The hero status, of course, goes out to any mother out there or anyone doing a dual parent role or being a stepmother or being a foster carer or anything. You're doing a bang up job and don't let anyone else tell you different. Of course, on the flip side, you've got in the zero sections the mothers that for selfish reasons have abandoned their kids and they'll never ever see them again. Or the ones, without even thinking, just put them up for adoption straight away and never bothered with the child. You will never know what that child could have become. And for that, you are a zero of the week. If you may disagree with me there, Groaners, but that's in an extreme case. I don't just mean the ones that put up for positive reasons. I'm talking purely selfish reasons here. Okay? So there is a rationale to my nominations here. Moving on, we fall back to an old friend, which is, of course, well, that's creepy. And this one's about The Fog. And I'm not talking about the book by James Herbert or the film by John Carpenter. Fog isn't a strange occurrence in the USA or Canada. But sometimes that fog can come with a very, very off smell. People tend to take notice, and the conspiracy theories begin to fly about the place. The new year was about to start when posts began popping up on social media about a toxic fog which was encircling parts of America and Canada. Many of those who mentioned or posted about the fog claimed it smelt like chemicals, and they suffered symptoms which were like the flu because of this fog. Others reported lethargy, that's tiredness, food poisoning symptoms, and stomach cramps. The fog posts also soon came from the UK when the mist set in over the country. Connections were connected between the recent drone sightings in America, and people immediately concluded that these drones were contaminating the atmosphere with chemicals. This, of course, made everything really, really bad, with people claiming their animals were also starting to act weird, and others speculating about terrorist plots and bioweapons, etc. The National Weather Service came up with the explanation that people were experiencing advection fog, which usually appears in the USA and elsewhere during the winter season. The chemical smell comes from the water droplets which are within the fog that trap pollutants in the air. This explanation hasn't done much to dispel fears that the government, in speech marks there, is out to get people. How creepy could that be? Fear the fog, groaners. Run from the fog. Save yourselves! At this point now, groaners, unfortunately, I think I'm going to jam two games together. Not into one, because Give Me the Anagram Anxiety doesn't make sense. So, it's going to be Give Me the Question, followed up in... Give Me the Answer for this week's special, followed by Admin Nicole's Anagram Anxiety. Okay? Here we go. Give me the question. I keep doing it. I can't get used to saying it. Give me the answer. Round 1. Your question is, who is, or should I say was, the patron saint of fools? Was it Saint Simeon, Saint Augustus, or Saint Clark? Go, groaners. Pause here. Have a little think. Answer. Then unpause. Round 2. Your question is, who is the patron saint of mothers or motherhood? Is it A, Saint Monica, B, Saint Mary, or C, Saint Maria? Go, groaners. Pause here. Have a think. Answer. Unpause. Moving on. Round number 3. Your question is, who is the patron saint of podcasters? Is it A, Saint George Precker, B, Saint Davison, or C, Saint Thomas? Go, groaners. Pause here. Have a little think. Answer. Then unpause. The answers for that will come later on, groaners. But now, moving straight on, we're going to have another game with Admin Nicole's Anagram Anxiety. And sticking with the Mother's Day theme of the half of the show, Nicole has came up with the anagram Deadbolt Soppings. Your clue is expensive Mother's Day gifts. Well, it ain't daffodils, so I have no idea, groaners. I'm sorry, I'm no help to you at all on this week's episode. But I can give you the game answers, which are going to be coming up right now. Starting off from last week, from Who the Hell Am I? Your clue was horror buffs may know this one. I want the name of the character, or at least the actor. Your clue was, I am an enemy of Blade, aka the Daywalker. I am a vampire. The actual bad guy's name was Deacon Frost, and he appeared in the first Blade, and he was played by the actor known as Stephen Dorff. Talking nonsense answers. Round 1. The classic joke, of course, was the nail through the finger. Round 2. Your nonsense was a mother. And round 3. Your nonsense was Mothering Sunday. Well done, if you got any of those because they were especially hard this week. The 5-point count up answers now. Your answer was, of course, April Fool's Day. And now lastly, we have the answers for Gimme the Question. For round 1, your answer was Saint Simeon as the patron saint of fools. Your answer to round number 2 was Saint Monica. She is the patron saint of mothers. And round 3, your answer was Saint George, because he spread the gospel, so he's been suggested as the patron saint of podcasters. Well done, Groaners. If you got any points during the course of the games this week, it's been a hell of a long special. I think I've clocked in at possibly over 30 minutes for this one, so I think it's time I wrapped up the show around about now. Hope you enjoyed it. Take care. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye. Someone outside the old man. There's something fun about being. Vega couldn't be more proud of what had she